Right, good morning. I thought it was time for me to provide you with a second video message because of the number of things that I'd like to cover with a range of year groups this morning. But just to begin with, I hope you're well. I hope your families are well, and I hope you are continuing to thrive during this different time. So what I'd like to do in this message is approach it in a similar way to the previous one, because there's information that I'd want to share with Year 6 parents right through to Year 11. So if I could start with Year 6 and briefly just update you on transition arrangements and what our thinking is with regards to transition. Firstly, I think we again have to come back to where the country is at and where the region is at in terms of lockdown. And I think we have to be mentally preparing ourselves for a September start for the new intake for Year 6 going into Year 7. In terms of transition, there are two things that we'd like to do. The first one we are thinking of and planning for at the moment is one of two things. We'd like to either offer a virtual parents' evening, or which would involve myself and others making presentations to you, probably through Zoom, and that will provide us with an opportunity to use the chat facility and to take questions. We wouldn't do that with all parents because that's 130, but we would look to maybe subdivide it into tutor groups and provide times and days later in June where we could meet with you, we could make a presentation virtually, and then actually perhaps have some opportunity to have a dialogue in terms of answering questions that you might register on the chat facility. The alternative to that, we obviously need to check the parameters and the protocols that enable us to do that. If we're not able to do that, I'd like us to do that, but if we're not able to do that, then we will be looking at some video messaging for you between now and the end of this term. The other thing I'd also like to do, it's going to be very difficult to invite groups of students in before the end of term. And I'm reluctant to start the transition process for all students in Year 6 because of the current circumstances. I think it makes much more sense to do that at the start of next term in September, and it may well be that we just have Year 7 in for at least one, possibly two, possibly more days before the rest of the school returns. What we would like to do, however, is to invite small groups of parents in during the last week of term, if you would wish to come in, if there are particular issues that you want to discuss, or if there are things that you would like to meet in person to see with regard to the school site. So we are thinking of, we'd really like to offer a virtual parents' evening or transition evening. If not, we will use video messaging for the whole cohort, alongside perhaps that opportunity for smaller groups of parents to come and meet with us in July. And once again, any queries, please use the transition at voy.hlt academy to correspond with us, because we pick up those messages daily. With regard to Years 7, 8 and 9, if I start with 7, 8 and 9, and then I'll come on to Year 10. Firstly, could I just thank all the parents that responded to the survey that we sent out just before half term. We had 130 replies, and they were very constructive and they were very helpful. So thank you to all those people who took the time to give us some feedback on the remote learning process and how it's gone so far. In response to your feedback, there are some changes or some things I just want to maybe just clarify, if you like, moving forward in terms of how we will try to improve our provision, particularly with regards to Years 7, 8 and 9. So firstly, there was some feedback about what would be the benefit, or would it be better for all work to be set at the beginning of the week or for it to be staggered during the course of the week? Well, actually, we would like to set all the work at the start of the week. And could I ask that families, parents, students, if you could organise yourselves so that you can structure your week accordingly. Logistically, it could get very messy at this end if we are introducing new tasks at different days in the week and we're setting different deadlines. What we'd like to work towards is the work is set on a Monday and the deadline's at the end of the week. For more substantial pieces of work, it will be longer than that. So that's the first point, is that we're looking to set work on the Monday. And then I'm really looking for your support with that, parents and students, in terms of organising how that's going to look during the course of the week. You've asked us for a bit more clarity on how to do it, what to do, and how that work is returned. So that's been fed back to curriculum leaders and teaching staff in terms of uploading documents, what you want the work to look like as it's going to be returned, and also the timeliness of feedback. Trying to give students feedback as soon as and as meaningfully as possible is something that we'll take on board. What we will also do during in the next 2 weeks is we will be updating our website. If you've been to the website, you'll see that there is, each subject has a document that is a supporting guidance document, and what curriculum leaders and teachers will be doing is updating that supporting guidance, so it gives parents particularly an idea of the schedule that there's going to be for the next 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks now. So that's going to be updated over the forthcoming days. So please refer to that, because that will give you an overview of the work that we intend for students to cover as best they can at home. The other thing I'd want to mention is particularly to Year 8 students and to Year 8 parents. So you will be receiving a letter confirming your option choices in the next few days. And what we've done on Google Classroom is we've created option groups. So the option groups, the option classes that you will go into in Year 9 in September, we've created them on Google Classroom. What that means we can do is we can start uploading information, tasks, work, preparation work for GCSE now. And that's what we will start doing. We'll start using those new classrooms, virtual classrooms, to provide you, Year 8 students, with that work that you can look at and start undertaking, should you wish to do so. We'd like you to, in preparation for September. If there are subjects that you are not continuing with, the work is still there. I'll leave it at that. The work is still there for you to undertake. But if you want to start looking and working on some of the option subject stuff for GCSE, then please do that. And if parents could take note of that. Something I've mentioned before, and something that we asked you about in the survey, was about online support. Ultimately online face-to-face support, and the response from you as parents was a resounding yes please. There are protocols, there are parameters that we need to look at. It needs to be safe, and safeguarding procedures need to apply when we're working with these things. So we are looking at those at the moment, and we are developing them. What I would say to you now is what we are going to do is we are looking to develop windows or time slots during the course of the week where live chat can be used, Google Chat. We can do that through our learning platform, Google Classroom, and that provides an opportunity for students to go in and live chat using text with their teachers. So that would be, for example, a half-an-hour slot on any given day. We want to develop audio. We want to develop audio video, and we're just testing the water with that, and we will start those activities, trialing them with Year 10. Okay, so if you could be aware, and this is where I'm going to move on to Year 10, because I've got quite a lot to say about the wider reopening. So if you could bear that in mind, please. Those are our intentions, and we do want to develop it, because I think it's going to be of use to us now, and then may well be into the autumn. Right, so with regard to Year 10, you will be aware of the intention, the plan to reopen partially to Year 10 students. And you'll be obviously aware by the time and day that I'm posting this message that was due to be on the 1st of June, but it's now going to be the 15th. So if I could just say a little bit now about what that's going to look like. We will be opening for students on Monday, the 15th of June. In line with guidance, we will only be opening for a quarter of the students at any one time on a given day. So what that looks like What that will look like is a maximum of 28 students in class on a Monday or a Tuesday, a Wednesday or a Thursday. I will communicate all of this to you, and there will be a Google form for you to complete. But what we will do, what we plan to do, what we are doing, is we're going to group students according to their maths sets. So for example, if your child is in maths set 1, they will come in on the Monday. They will arrive in school at 9:15. They will be in school from 9:15 until 12 noon. During that time, they will receive a health and safety briefing and a briefing on the code of conduct. And then they will receive 3 45-minute sessions on English, maths and science. They will remain where they're seated, and the teachers will rotate around the 3 sessions. I need to be clear about a few things. Because of the control measures we have to use at the moment, your child will come in at 9:15 and they will leave at 12. We won't be having breaks. We won't be providing food unless your child is eligible for free school meals, and we'll provide that at the end of the session. Further guidance will be in the letter that I will send home specifically to Year 10, but suffice to say, obviously there'll be information with regard to toilet access, if your child becomes unwell, all of those things. So we've undertaken a full risk assessment, and I'll communicate that specifically to Year 10 families. But suffice to say, this is going ahead. So starting Monday, the 15th of June, we will be inviting up to 28 students in on that day from set 1 to come in and undertake those 3 sessions. And then we'll do set 2 on the Tuesday, set 3 on the Wednesday, set 4 and 5 together on the Thursday because they're smaller groups. And then we're setting aside Friday for specific work with students perhaps with special educational needs, or those that are really vulnerable, that we want to support specifically. We spent a lot of time thinking about how can we support the option subjects. Now, logistically, under the current arrangement, with just a quarter of the students being allowed in on any given day, it's just not physically possible. We've spent a long time trying to look at, can we invite in groups of students for the option subjects? And whichever way we look at it, it just doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer online support for the option subjects. So for a Year 10 student, in the morning it's core, effectively. They'll either be in school or working at home remotely. And then in the afternoon, we will make available sessions for your child to access their options teachers. So for example, it will be option A on a Monday, option B on a Tuesday, C on a Wednesday, and D on a Thursday. It's actually GHIJ, but anyway. So 1 option block per day. Teachers will make themselves available. At the very least, that will be for a live chat using text, and that may be, for example, at 1 o'clock on that given day. That's the plan that we're moving towards for Year 10 students. Obviously, it goes without saying the importance of the safety measures. I will include all that documentation or advice and guidance in writing, and we will brief your students on when they arrive. The other thing that we will be doing is Mr. Stancliffe. I've asked Mr. Stancliffe to actually produce a video, which is a walkthrough. Okay, so he will take you, it won't be a long video, but it will show you how the children will actually enter the site, what they will do when they come into the inside and to the teaching spaces that they're working. So we'll do that video, and we'll send that video out next week. As I mentioned before, there is a very clear code of conduct. I won't go into the detail of that, but it's essential that we don't have any unnecessary disruptive behaviour. And that's all set out in terms of expectations, and the consequences are set out in the code of conduct. We will be asking all parents to agree to that code of conduct, and also for parents' consent to be sending their child in on a given day. Without those 2 things, we won't admit your child into school. Uniform, we've asked the current key worker children that come in, we're asking that uniform is worn, in that uniform is white shirt, black trousers, black shoes. It's not necessary for the students to come in blazers and ties and slips as well. They don't need to do that. It will reduce the need for washing of those items. So it's a white shirt, black trousers, black shoes. So we will be sending out that Google form at the very latest on Monday. It might be tomorrow, but it will definitely be Monday. So please, Year 10 parents, if you can turn that round as soon as possible. And as I say, without consent, we won't admit your child. Okay, that's Year 10 for now. One more thing I'd want to mention is just an update on Year 11. So I think the last time I spoke to you, I talked about the thoroughness of the process that we were undertaking with centre assessed grades. That process is now complete, and we're at the point where we're inputting the data, and as principal, I have to sign that off. So we've been through the process, and that's now been completed. I do want to mention to Year 11 students and parents that actually hoodies, you can order them from next week. There will be some information coming out via Mr. Wilson using, I think he's going to use the Google Stream on Google Classroom. If you want to buy a hoodie, we're going to make them available for you to purchase. Okay, so there'll be more information about that next week via Mr. Wilson. And just for students and parents to be aware, in Year 11, that in terms of results, the plan as we speak today is that those results will be emailed out. And we will not be allowing students to come in because of the social distancing regulations as they stand at the moment. So the plan, and that's for York, schools across York, to email them out. Okay, so it's very important that we have an up-to-date address for you. And that's it really for now. I don't want to say too much about September because I think the next few weeks is crucial. I think it's going to, with the easing of lockdown, we need to see what the R rate is like. We need to see what the R rate is like locally as well as nationally. And I don't think we can start second guessing. If things go well, I'm sure we'll be looking at something more, simply put, more numbers of students than not. Than if things aren't, going so well in terms of the R rate. So it really remains to be seen what that provision is going to look like. So I think it's best to leave that at there. One other thing I want to mention to all the students and parents, particularly from Year 6 through to Year 10, is that Keel's, the uniform supplier, they're reopening on the 15th of June alongside all other non-essential shops. So please be aware that you will be able to buy a uniform, and obviously social distancing and all those things will apply. But in case you're wondering, well, what do I do about uniform? It's going to have to be accessed either in person from the shop, or you can do it online. So any information that we receive from Keel, we will circulate to you. So I think that's it for now. I wish you all the best. Please keep in contact. Please use the hello@valeofyork.hlt.academy address. As I said before, we do have staff in school now. You can telephone in, but email is the first port of call, really. Take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. That's bye for now.